women and men who have heard the words or the phrases, "You seem very intimidating. You give off intimidating vibes." Or what about this famous line? "Men find you very intimidating. Men don't like intimidating women." I have one thing to say to those people: F off. Hi, my name is Allie. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here and are first time viewers, I want to say welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm glad to have you here. I want to share and discuss my experiences, whether they're good or bad, in hopes that I inspire someone to start embarking in their healing journey, and also to truly have the courage to become your best, most authentic version of yourself. If that sounds good to you, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, like this video, and join Healing with Allie. Also, follow me on Instagram, where you can DM me topics about things you want me to discuss, or if you just want to have a little chit chat about life and all things in between. Now, with all of the introduction out of the way, let's get started with the video. No, but seriously, if you're someone who constantly gets told this in some form of fashion, then understand that you are not alone and that this is really more common than you think, especially women. I find it funny how still in 2023 that women are still expected to be modest and focus on being seen and not heard, rather than doing what's best for them, even if it means hurting people's feelings because they just don't like it. Not in a way where you're hurting someone and out there being malicious, but more on the sense of, I'm doing what's best for me and I'm proud of myself, and I'm not going to let anybody step over me, because getting stepped on is worse than holding your boundary and being called whatever that person calls you. I myself have been constantly told this by friends, by co-workers, by some people, like adults in my family, and sometimes it can be a little discouraging to truly be who you want to be and assert yourself. Even possibly makes you want to shrink yourself into what they see you as, because it sometimes makes everything in every situation feel better. And honestly, I used to ask myself the same questions. I used to ask myself things like, why do people feel like I'm intimidating? How do they feel like I'm intimidating? I don't see myself this way. It used to start really affecting my confidence. Or I used to think that it was a sign that I'm too rough and I'm too hard as a female and I need to soften up. I know, crazy, right? That still happened as much as we advanced in this world. But I'm here to tell you, the truth is, being called intimidating has more to do with the other person than it does yourself. It shows their inability to truly step up and have the courage to be who they want to be, despite what others think. More times than not, you're being called intimidating due to the fact that you are willing to shine and be your most authentic self without really having no F. Then there are some people who just truly don't know how to handle it, because it shows their insecurities, and then there goes the projection. So I want to start off with why they may call you intimidating. So let's ask ourselves, why are they calling us intimidating? With so many people in the world and so many different personalities, there will be times, and it's bound to happen, that some people will kind of have rifts and clashes, because sometimes things just don't work out that way with different personalities. For example, if you're someone that is naturally quiet, you rather observe and read the room before you truly express your truest self. And then there are people who are naturally open. They wear their personality out there for the world to see on their shoulders. That sometimes can make the open person think that the person who is more quiet, more reserved, seem intimidating as well, because they can't read them, because they're not able to just figure them out so soon. So this can sometimes make people want to put you in a box or label you what they make themselves feel comfortable labeling you as. They may perceive you as judgmental, rather than somebody who just is very protective of who you are and who is worth showing your true authentic self. And then this can sometimes be resolved simply by just having conversations with people. So if this sounds like a familiar situation to you, then look no further onto this video, because I'm going to explain what people really mean when they call you intimidating. Once you understand the examples below, you will have a better understanding as to why people feel this way about you sometimes, because it will surprise you that what they're projecting has a lot to say about them and how they feel about themselves, and less to do with you and what you got going on. Plus, being called intimidating is not as bad as it seems. We can kind of shift our mind and our perspective to kind of look at this as a more positive thing. So I'm going to give a couple of examples on how to look at being called intimidating more of a positive outlook for you versus a more negative trait. Hopefully doing this will give you the confidence to be able to truly embrace the fact that some people just find you intimidating. So number one, you take no shit. When someone calls you intimidating, this is like mainly the first reasoning why. When you are someone who stands firm into your boundaries, when you are very communicative and open with how you want things to be done for you in your life, people who lack boundaries, people who tend to be okay with getting taken advantage of, ran over, or just simply played, when they are someone who does not establish and assert and stand firm on their boundaries, it's like they expect everybody else around them to do the same thing. So when they meet somebody who typically says no, that's a boundary for them, they take on this offensive and taking it personal type of feeling. And this takes a lot of guts and willpower and courage to be able to not only set boundaries, but to communicate them and then stand firm when something happens. Because more times than not, the person that you're establishing this boundary with is going to push back. They're going to get kind of upset with you, especially if there's someone who has not had any boundaries for themselves. Don't let this scare you or deter you from standing firm into your truth, because it takes strength to go against the grain, and a lot of people don't have that, and a lot of people fear what they don't understand. Rather than try to understand and just accept, they rather come up with an excuse to say why you are the way you are, when in plain black and white, this is just a boundary. I don't want you to cross it. This is what will happen if you cross it. So when you do that, just know that people are going to call you whatever they want to in the world due to the fact that you're just simply placing a boundary. So just know that when you take no shit, most of the time you're going to have a lot of people go out your life because they want to be able to take advantage of you. Also, if you're someone who does not like when you see others get taken advantage of or bullied, so you stand up for others as well, that in its own makes you stand out. Because if you're somebody who not only will stand up for yourself but for others, then these people know they can't mess with you. These people know that you see everything around your near surroundings and they can't try to play you. Number two, they're really just projecting their own insecurities. When someone calls you intimidating, just know that this is coming from an insecurity mindset. This is coming from a place of insecurity, of negative self-talk about themselves, and really just them projecting how they truly feel on you. For example, I've had where certain co-workers that I truly wanted to be friends with, I felt like we would really vibe based off of the certain things that we both had in common. And then as weeks and months and us working together came on, it started showing how anything that I did or said was basically used against me, because I'm somebody that when I have to talk to you and communicate at a job about something, you take that personal. You take that as a way of me trying to pick on you. And I would say sorry over and over again, saying things like, well, that's not my intention. I don't want you to feel that way. If you feel that way, come let me know. We can talk about it. We can hash it out. And then no matter what I'd done, it just seems like every little thing that I would do or say, it just made it escalate even worse, because I come to realize that I'm just somebody who is what they want to be, and I'm scaring them. Like, I don't know another way to put that, but basically I am somebody that they can tell this is who they should be, and their insecurities are screaming at them about it. So what they rather do to make themselves feel better than admit that they're like this and change, she just would rather keep trying to say, well, you take no shit. You're very intimidating. That's why certain things, I get so scared around you when you come around. I just be feeling like, you know, you're judging me. And it's like, girl, I'm thinking about what to eat next when I get out of here. Like, I'm not even thinking about you. That's what happens when people think this about themselves. They're thinking that other people think this way about them too. And then ultimately, the co-worker, the colleague, what I thought could have been a friendship was merely more than just us working together, because it ended up getting worse and worse. Then all around, it just showed that I have to accept the fact that people are just going to feel some kind of way about me and my energy, no matter how much I try to make them feel better and comfort them and reassure them that this is not who I am. Some people just want to misunderstand me due to their own projection of insecurities. For them, it's better to avoid those issues. It's better to place the blame on external things. It's better to be in denial about it than to actually take the time to do the shadow work to make themselves feel better. That way they don't have these root problems as to why they feel like certain people are intimidating, when in reality they're just somebody who's a strong person. They're nice and they're firm, but they're fair. And all in all, you don't need somebody who always talks badly about themselves, lacks confidence, because then it rubs off on you. And then not only does it rub off on you, but if you're someone who keeps trying to uplift them and kind of see things in a different way, it can kind of bite you in the butt, sort of. So this is just all about knowing that if you're someone that is being called intimidating due to the fact of somebody else's insecurities, honestly, there's nothing you're going to be able to do. Is you're gonna have to accept the fact that some people are who they are in that season of time, and you just have to let them be, because you don't want somebody else's insecurities to start tearing down your self-worth and how you feel about yourself and your level of confidence. Number 3, honestly, I feel like a lot of this has to do with men that wants to take advantage of us, and they rather call us intimidating than to truly step up to the plate when a woman who knows what they want demands these certain things. Otherwise, there's no continuation. It makes them see that they're really not deserving of you, but rather admit that and better themselves for themselves first. They'll rather just call you intimidating. Because a lot of times we know that men, especially back in the day, thought of women as more of second-class citizens. Society as a whole really thought about that. The fact that it's still 2023 and there are men who want women to be modest, to cook, to clean, to do everything else. She needs to be able to not talk back or really express how she feels, even if that means making him mad or making him uncomfortable. Then there are times in my life where I found, especially like in high school, where there would be a lot of dudes that would come at my best friend and like always try to flirt and talk to her. And then there's me, where it's like they would try that, and most of the time they'll look at me and give me one good look and not even try me. I used to think something was wrong. I used to be like, well, do they find me ugly? Do they feel like they cannot approach me? So then when I started feeling like, well, maybe let me follow in the footsteps of my best friend. Let me observe and see what she does to get all the attention. And after a while, I realized it's really not for me. Like, I'm not willing to dumb myself down. I'm not willing to settle and do certain things knowing I don't want to for the sake of having a guy talk to me. Like, if you don't want to talk to me, bye. I'm okay with that. Because a lot of times I realized all of the dudes that she was messing around with and flirting with and that wanted to come talk to her, they only really wanted one thing. And it's mainly because they probably thought she was easy. And I'm not saying she was, because she wasn't. But at the same time, she did like the attention she got from it. And honestly, I used to think like, how is that the height of your life when there's so much more to the world? But that's just me. So honestly, this one is just short and sweet. Males' egos are just typically, not all men, but most of the men that, you know, live on this earth, a lot of them have this fragile male ego where we are not allowed to do anything to tap and hurt that and shatter that. Otherwise, we're going to be known as bitter, resentful, or intimidating, honestly. And this is something that I feel like a lot of them say when they really don't have nothing bad to say about you. When you have all your stuff together, when you cute, when you got all your finances in order, when you are truly, you know who you are, and they can't find any room, any crack, any opening to be able to come in and take advantage of you. Once they realize, oh, I can't do that to her, it's like it takes less effort for them to just walk away, call you a name, rather than admit to the fact that you're not going to come at me, you don't have a job, and you stay at your baby mama house. Like, no, we're not doing that. So take that one as a compliment. So this is where you can kind of start looking at intimidation or being called intimidating more of a positive thing. Look at it as you got a backbone, and this man or this woman or whoever it is, a boss, a co-worker, a friend, a random stranger, they couldn't take advantage of you because you have a backbone. And so them calling you a name was their only fight left to fight. That was their only little thing to throw at you to kind of make you feel a little bit lower about yourself. So I honestly feel like when somebody calls me intimidating, yep, I am. If it means you can't take advantage of me, I sure am. Like, we have to learn to accept the fact that, let's take these insults a little bit more of the fact that you just can't keep up. You can't keep. Number 4. Now this one, I like to kind of tell myself this when people call me intimidating or when I've been told this. I like to think that, honestly, I'm just a girl boss, because in the words of Nicki Minaj, in this old interview, she said, she was like, you know, men can come in, men can demand things, can come in and be rude and not say nothing to nobody, but then when something is wrong, they can curse everybody out, they can get rude. And then he's being known as, oh, that's just you being a boss. That's just him at his most confident level of self. Whereas women, if a woman was to do that or any fraction of that, she's known as a bitch. She's known as intimidating. Honestly, like, those are like the main things. It's like she made it really good when she said that. Like, if it means I have to be called intimidating for you to listen to me and take me seriously and take my business seriously or whatever it is, then I'm going to be called that. I'm going to be called whatever you want to call me. Because there's this thing where it's like men can do it, but women can't. Why not? Because y'all need us, honestly, when it comes to a lot of things in life. And that's what I feel like people don't realize. It's not that people are being intimidating or being a boss. It's just that certain roles and responsibilities, you have to, you know, play that part. So I like to think of being called intimidating is that I'm just being me. I'm a girl boss. I'm doing my shit. And at the end of the day, you are jealous. Because there's a lot of women who has to work in like a lot of man-dominating fields where they not only have to work twice as hard with less pay, but then they have to keep getting these mansplaining people around them and co-workers that still see them as less than. Or you're trying to have a conversation and suggest your ideas and you immediately get undermined around all the men. But then when you assert yourself, start over talking so you can be heard, now you're being aggressive. Now it's, whoa, is your period on? Or is it that time in the month? Like, those degrading things we get told, and women in those type of career fields get told and deal with this a lot, just for the sake that they feel like, honestly, women should not be there. So when you're somebody who has to work in these fields, just know that you're probably going to be a lone wolf most of the time. You're going to probably have to really have some tough skin and have some comebacks, professionally and personally, because at the end of the day, men have, not all men, but most men, especially in male dominating careers, feel like women really don't belong there. And a lot of them can say they don't, but it shows with the fact that they still get paid less. And then lastly, what people really mean when they say that you're intimidating, or another way you can look at being called intimidating, is you're just someone who's naturally a leader. You're someone who possesses these leadership qualities that kind of make you stand out against all of the common sheep. And this one right here took a lot of self-reflecting to understand, because I want to say since elementary school, I've always done things that kind of gave me recognition, not in a sense of, oh, look what I did, but more of helped me naturally show off my confidence and leadership skills. Like, I was a hall monitor 4th and 5th grade, where I became a lieutenant. Then in high school, I was in ROTC, where I became the 2nd highest rank in there, all the way up until I graduated high school. Then, of course, anytime I went to a job and I was working there, I always somehow got attracted and gravitated towards becoming some type of leadership position, some type of leadership role. I've always been told I have so much potential, and that if I truly tap into it, that I can be pretty much my own boss one day, because I am somebody who has the mindset, who has the drive, and honestly who has the openness to be able to see the possibilities for myself. So with that, that means that sometimes you're going to be around people that want to peer pressure you into doing things that will kind of taint your image. I chucked it up to being like the first sibling in the family. You know, most of the time I had to help my sister out with different things. I naturally just felt like I had to help in the house. And I think a lot of that has something to do with the fact that I just have this type of personality and energy about me. It's just natural for me to step up and take initiative on things, even on things that I've done as a child. Like, you know, if I can tell my mom's tired, I would just help her by making my sister some cereal so she wouldn't have to get up. Or if she was sick, I would make her some noodles. It's like I knew this and I would just step up, and it just led to other things in career and in school. But this does have a downside, because once you start getting into the adult world, or even when you start dealing with that peer pressure, as I was saying, like in high school, when you have to play like certain leadership roles to other people, you know, there are going to be those, like, what was his name from the Bible? Judas. You know, he was part of the table. He was part of Jesus's group. And yet, it was always something in him that felt like he was better than. Felt like he deserved it. And so we all know what he did, basically. He basically betrayed him. But I use that as an example on how there are going to be people who just generally don't like you. They will do everything they can to kind of, like I said, deter your reputation, to kind of taint your reputation. So in a workplace, you know, that can look like sabotage. That can look like putting you in a position to make you look bad in front of your superiors, to kind of put you in environments where you are an accessory to certain things, even if you haven't actually yourself done whatever it was. Just being around it and you having a certain type of responsibility over you, you're going to be the one liable. So some people would take this personally. Some people will definitely, in a job setting, will talk shit about you. But sometimes you gotta let that roll off, because as a leader, you know what really matters, and you are in that leadership role for a reason. So being called intimidating means that you sometimes just naturally have leadership skills. And the followers see that, and the people who are more of sheeps, they want you to be like them. So them saying you're intimidating, them calling you names, them making you feel small, makes them feel better. So don't do that to yourself, because there's so much you can do for yourself and for your life and for other people that you care about if you just tap into this intimidating, which really is just you being a leader type of mentality. So let's flip that narrative. Let's make it a positive one for our life. Let's make it benefit our life. The first thing you want to do, you want to embrace the fact that people are calling you intimidating. And embrace the fact that people, and there are some people, automatically know they can't fuck with you. Automatically know, like, this, she's not the one, he's not the one. When you understand that, and when people know that, and you know that that's their typical response, it lightens the load off of you and off of your self-worth. Then I would take it as a compliment, because people who are just like you and who are strong in themselves and who are very communicative and are very specific about things, they're not going to think of you as intimidating. They're going to think of you as somebody who just is who you're supposed to be. You're supposed to stand your ground. You're supposed to be assertive, just not aggressive. When you have the right people around you, they're not going to think you're intimidating. The people that are for me, in fact, they know I'm the most chill, kind-hearted, goofy person. But to the other people who are insecure and who want to take advantage and who want to try to manipulate, when I show them that I'm not one to fuck with, then that's where the resistance comes. Then that's where the insults come. Then that's where the smear campaigning come. Then there's touching my insecurities. Then there's trying to smear my name. Like, when you realize that people who like you, people who are for you, you're not gonna find you intimidating. So take it as a compliment. I think of it as, you are somebody that was not meant for me anyway, and just this little exchange and me being intimidated lets me know that we are not aligned for each other. But that's okay, because so many people on this earth, you can't expect everybody to align with you, because that just don't work that way. And then lastly, honestly, being intimidating or just being somebody who is strong, it can also set you up for great opportunities, like for business, for partnerships, for just going out and exploring. And it also helps you to protect yourself, because people are not going to want to mess with somebody who they find intimidating. So remember this, remember these couple of signs as a way of, okay, this is a phrase, but this is what the phrase really means. So these are what people really mean when they call you intimidating. So when you're somebody who's intimidating, you're just someone who people like to dim your light so that way they can shine. Some people see the potential more in you than you do for yourself. And this can be a good thing for the people who want to help you and uplift you. But this can also be a bad thing for the ones that want to tear you down, that don't want to see you win, that rather you be who they are and not progress than to be anything other than better. That to me is like a mantra that I tell myself all the time, is don't dim my light trying to make somebody else shine. I've done that enough in my high school days. I've done it enough in my young adult days. I'm not doing that now. Like, we're not doing that. I'm no longer going to allow how somebody else perceives me deter me from who I know I am. And so if you know who you are, that's all that matters. That's all for today's video. I do want to say thank you so much for tuning in and watching my video. I want to ask you guys, have you ever been called intimidating? What are some of the crazy stories that you have heard as to why people think you're intimidating in the first place? Comment below your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video. I'll see you next time, you guys. Bye.